Hello YouTube, welcome back. Chris here. Doing a little remake video. As some of you may know, the first video I ever did on YouTube was a Workbench walkthrough where I went through my at-work Workbench, the tools I use every day at work here, and talked about what I have on my bench and why. Well, I want to do a little update or remake of that video because some things have changed on my bench, and so let's go through what we have here. Starting in the top left, I've got my box end wrenches. I got a 6mm up to a 17mm. I do have smaller and larger on standby if I need them. I just don't keep them out. On my bench, I really just keep all the stuff I use very frequently. So stuff I need at my fingertips at a short notice. So there's my box end wrenches from Park Tool. Fantastic set. Highly recommend those. As we move down, just like my last video, I got my little shark there. That came with a cheap bike that I built, so I've just kind of had him up there as my mascot. These here, 3-way Allen wrenches. I've got two of the bigger ones, which are 4mm, 5mm, and 6mm, and one of the smaller ones, which is a 2.5, and 3mm. I've got a standard set of Pedro's long handle Allen wrenches ranging from 10 to 1.5. I've got a Shimano crank nut tool there. This tool I absolutely love, and Park Tool no longer makes this. I wish they would bring this back because it's such a handy tool. Kind of an old school tool. It's designed for older brakes, for if you have to actually bend the steel to align the pads. But just an excellent bending tool. This is called the BT3, and these are kind of hard to find. I've been looking for a second one for my home workbench, but this is definitely a vintage tool, and if you're listening, Park Tool, please bring back the BT3. This is such a fantastic tool. I use it almost every day for bending components that are misaligned when I need to. Up here, I've got my caliper. I usually prefer just a standard manual one, not a digital. The digital ones, I'm always running out of batteries on, and I can never find the stupid watch batteries, so just a manual caliper is just fine. My red spanner, dummy pedal. This is a newer edition. Love this tool. If you're working on a bike that doesn't have pedals on it, you just thread this guy in, whoops, and you can use that to tune. My hydraulic brake decompression tool. Not something I use every day, but doesn't take up a lot of room and looks good, so that one does stay on the wall here. Up here we move on to my screwdrivers. I keep a few multiples here. I like to have a lot of JIS screwdrivers here, so in the number 2 size I have 3 of those from Park. I do have one of the smaller ones as well for real small nuts and bolts, or I'm sorry, small screws like you'll find in shifters and things like that. And then I do have my standard flat screwdrivers. I have a big one and a small one. These guys are made by Pedro's. They also make a very nice screwdriver. Got my T-handle Allen wrenches from Park, ranging from 1.5 all the way up to 10. I'm sorry, 12. Don't even know what I have here. So I got that full set there. Really handy. I use these probably the most of any Allen wrenches. They just fit well in the hand. Good leverage. Really easy to use tool. And then up here, just some basic lubricant. I do have more of this around. This is just kind of the quick stuff. Keep a little bit of dry lube. Always got to have some Tri-Flow. I've been messing around with the Aerosol T9. I really do like it. Very similar to Tri-Flow, but good lube. Bike wash. Back here, I've got a couple of gear scrubbing brushes. Always need those for doing tune-ups. As we move down, this is my Air Chuck Park Tool INF-1. This is going to be my inflator. It's got a Schrader side and a Presta side and a built-in gauge. I also have a blower. One of these is usually on the hose. I just put them both on the bench to shoot this video. Usually the inflator's on the actual hose. Couple dummy hubs, always good to have, and I like to have multiples because if I get halfway through a bike and have to walk away from it and start another one, it's good to have several so I don't have to take it out of the bike and put it back in, and it'll hold the chain for me while I'm not working on it. A couple box cutters here, small tape measure, always handy. Down here, basic ferrules. I have more of these other places, but this is just the simple ones, my 4mm, 5mm, and plastic 4mm. Grease tub, always got to have that. Nice little trick, if you have a grease tub, cut a slit in the lid there, keeps all the junk from falling in there and gives you somewhere to wipe the brush if you have too much grease on it. This is a newer addition, this Park Tool mat. Not totally sure if I love it or not, but it does give me a good place to hold all these little things. Valve adapters, these are specialized rack mounts that I often need to plug into specialized frames. These are Presta nuts and valve caps, and in here Schrader nuts and valve caps. Got cable crimps, 4mm ferrules, 5mm ferrules, and some common size bolts, nuts, and washers there for bottle cages and things like that. As we move up here, torque set. These currently are made in green. The black ones are older. I had to replace this guy because he broke it, so I got a green one, but the rest are black. This will range from a T10, can you see, yeah, there we go, all the way up to a T30. Park Tool CCW 5, awesome tool for getting cranks off. Just a nice dedicated 14mm wrench there for getting square taper crank bolts out. This one here, CCP 22 square taper crank puller. Being a Cannondale dealer, I also have the hologram crank puller there. Isis spline crank puller. Chain tool. This is the CT 3.2 adjustable one. It'll do pretty much any chain. Down here, Master Link pliers, and this is the newer MLP 1.2 that can also put the links together as well as take them apart. Got my side cutters from Park, my needle nose from Park, my Williams snap ring pliers, always handy, Pedro's fourth hand tool, and my Pedro's cutters. I am due for new cutters. These ones will not stay together. My little latch is broken, so those will probably become spoke cutters soon, and I'll get a nice new one for the cables. Up here, a few homemade tools. This is a hacksaw blade I turned into a poker, nice and thin, so I can get it into spaces, and just a good steel to use. A couple of different pokers I've made here out of spokes and out of this is just some steel rod I found. A couple of other spoke tools here for internal cable routings. I've got a spoke here with some hooks on it I use to grab cables out of frames. And this guy looks like a bubble wand, but I can put that up in. Maybe I'll do a video on how that works to grab cables, internal cables. Got my chain checker. I prefer the CC1. Old school, awesome tool, works great, real easy to read. And I got my roll-off cassette checker as well. Basic file. Chain whip. This is a Lesign chain whip. Pedro's pedal wrench. Really nice heavy duty pedal wrench, works great. I've been using this one for a while. It's got some wear on it. Here's my hammer, Park Tool hammer. This is the HMR4. It's got the mallet side and a hammer side. They do make a smaller version of this as well. I only have the big one on here. Vice grips. Got a set of 3 different size vice grips and a needle nose vice grips. Also got a rotor bender here. Over here, 2 large crescents. These are good for various tasks. A little smaller one and then a real big one. Some office supply stuff here. Got my stapler. Oh, I got 2 staplers. One's supposed to be a tape dispenser. I'll have to find out where that went. And my pens. Here, vise with a axle vise in it. And that concludes the workbench. Also keep in mind these tools are a little rough. We do lots of bikes here, so I do use these a lot. They're not all beautiful. You know, when I do get a nice new beautiful tool, it's only a matter of time before it starts looking like this. But you know, these tools are well loved and they get a lot of use. So please let me know if you have any questions. Please like and subscribe. And if you want to know anything else about my workbench, also keep in mind this is not everything I use. I do have a lot more in the bench. These are just the grab and go tools. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.